All right, before we get into the conversation that's happening among activists and everyone in America, let's catch up with the ongoing conversation in Washington. Because while the movement in the streets has been building up steam, Democrats in Washington have been scrambling for a way to respond. And yesterday, I think they figured it out.
Democratic lawmakers are receiving criticism after a silent tribute to George Floyd in the U.S. Congress yesterday. Some were not a fan of the colorful kente cloth scarf draped around their necks, saying they turned the traditional African textile into a political prop.
Okay, I understand the symbolic gesture of kneeling to remember George Floyd. What I don't understand is why they had to dress like extras from Coming to America too. In fact, a lot of people were confused about why the Democrats wore African cloth to talk about George Floyd and police brutality. It felt like they were trying too hard. But I'm going to be honest, I was just glad that they managed to talk Nancy Pelosi down from the original outfit she had planned. It was a step too far. And look, however much you want to blame Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats for doing this, we also have to assign some of the blame to the African store owner who knew full well that no good can come from one person buying 50 kente cloths. No, Nancy, you have to trust me, eh? The more kente cloth you wear, the less offensive it becomes. Okay, bye-bye. Now, to be fair, the Democrats weren't just kneeling and wearing kente cloth. They also unveiled police reform legislation that would make some pretty big changes. It would ban no-knock warrants in drug cases to try and avoid situations like the one that got Breonna Taylor killed while she was sleeping in her own bed. It would make chokeholds a civil rights violation to try and prevent police from taking another Eric Garner's life. And one of the biggest measures in this legislation would make it easier to prosecute police who use excessive force, as opposed to now where it's almost impossible to convict a police officer if they've done something wrong. Like now you need to catch them on video, then have a DA that's willing to prosecute them, then have a jury that actually wants to hold cops accountable. And even if you get all that, you still need to find the cops' horcrux and destroy it. Otherwise, they just get to go back out on the force. But while Democrats are proposing legislation to reform the police, unsurprisingly, most Republicans in Congress don't seem to be on board. And as for President Trump, he's doubling down hard on his support for the police.
President Trump held a meeting with police union officials and local and state law enforcement officials yesterday at the White House. He vowed there will be no dismantling of American policing.
There won't be defunding, there won't be dismantling of our police, and there's not going to be any disbanding of our police. Our police have been letting us live in peace, and we want to make sure we don't have any bad actors in there. And sometimes you'll see some horrible things like we witnessed recently, but 99, I say 99.9, but let's go with 99% of them are great, great people.
Yes, 99% of all police are great people. And I guess it's just unlucky that protesters happen to keep meeting with the bad 1% over and over and over again. I guess those guys work a lot of overtime. And you know, I always find it amazing how Trump manages to always see the good in the groups that he likes. He says that the police are 99% great people. Charlottesville, he said there were people that were good on both sides. He said the armed protesters in Michigan, the same people who stormed the State House, were very good people who were just frustrated. Like clearly, if you're on Trump's good side, he will find a way to interpret anything you do in the best way possible. Like if Trump likes you, he could walk in on you in bed with his wife and he'd probably be like, my wife and my best friend taking a nap together. Good people.